Baseball season, an actual 162-game summer is about to begin. I'm Jeff.
I'm Tom.
I'm Kim.
I'm Nick.
And Nick. And we are the three old Reds fans plus one tonight. Podcast coming to you via Zoom from in and around locations near the heart of Cedarville, the famous birthplace and final resting place of Reds pitching legend Bumpus Jones. So before we get started, just to let you know, thanks for being a loyal Reds fan. If you listen to this podcast, you certainly must be. Give us a rating on Apple Podcast app. We've got 5-star there right now. But we need more ratings. I don't think anybody's given us a comment or a rating in like a year. So maybe it's the pandemic. I don't know. But leave us a review there. Comment on our page at podbean.com. Follow us on Twitter at 3OldRedsFans or Facebook or any place else that lets you comment. But definitely Twitter, 3OldRedsFans. We haven't tweeted much in a while, but season's getting ready to start, so we'll get into that. So welcome, gentlemen. Tom and Kim are here as usual with us, and we have Nick here with us. Nick was on with us during our first season, I think, like 4 years ago. Nick has written for Red Leg Nation over the years, and big Reds fan. And he's not old, so we're all the old guys. He's the young guy, but so we balance out the age here a little bit. So
3 old guys and 1 young, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So we are recording this on the eve of the season. So I will get this posted up tonight. People can listen. It'll be great great warm up for the start of the season tomorrow. So where do you guys want to start? You want to talk lineups? You want to talk pitching staffs? What do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about opening day. Opening day a little bit tomorrow. Right. Jeff, you and I have went to an opening day before.
Yeah.
I've went to many, and I really wanted to go tomorrow. I checked tickets. Have you seen them, guys? How much they are?
No.
$200.
Really?
Yeah, and that's just too much for my blood.
Yeah. Especially it's going to be
cold.
I'm
disappointed.
It's going
to be cold too.
Yeah. Have you ever been to opening?
I'm a bummer.
Nick, have you ever been to an opening day?
I've been to one opening day. It was probably 6 or 7 years
Did you go to the parade too?
No parade. I think
you
I
gotta
got
go to the
on.
parade.
I think I got on the field for batting practice though.
Oh, were you working?
No, I had a friend with a connection. I'll say that. I didn't.
He knows a guy.
Didn't even pay for the tickets.
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, there you go.
It was a good deal.
Kind of a big deal.
All right. So does anybody have tickets for a game yet?
Not yet.
I do.
Ooh.
Yes, we're going to April 30th. It's a Friday night versus the Cubs. Last night of school, last day of classes for me and Nick. My daughter Kelly's going to be in town, so me and Mrs. Gilbert and our daughter are going, and we've got one more ticket. We don't know, one of the other family members might go. That hasn't been sorted out yet. So
that's fun.
So
I sent some pictures to the guys on a group text of opening day memories, which was kind of fun to remember some of those times. And there were some I didn't send you of like Marge Schott doing goofy stuff with Shotzi, and
yeah.
I forgot about the umpire dying that year. Did you remember that?
John McSherry. Yeah, I was watching. I remember that happened. It was right at the beginning of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like the first or second inning. Yeah.
And he went down. Boom. He went face first down, as I recall, and they got him. They came out and got him, and they ended up stopping the game.
Stopped the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Played it the next day.
Exactly.
So, not exactly a good opening day memory, but do you guys have any big opening day memories?
Well, does it have to be a Reds game?
Oh.
Well, come on, man.
Yeah,
well, we'll say no,
but okay, with a all right, judge me after I tell you who I went to see. Bay Stadium, Mets hosted the Pete Rose led Montreal Expos.
Oh, nice.
He leads off the game with a bunt single. I think he may have gone all the way to third on a throwing error and then scored.
Oh, cool.
And so I think that was 1984, I think. maybe
Sounds
85,
about
but
right.
I mean, he only played for Montreal half that season.
Yeah, Les Expos. So I was at a Dragons game, well, at least 2 years ago, because I didn't go to any last year, but at least 2 years ago. And this guy sits down about 3 rows in front of right down in front of the press box, walks in one night, sits down. He's wearing a Expos jersey with a Rose jersey, said Rose and 14 on the back. I'm like, man, where did you find that? So I have a student right now. He shows up to class once in a while wearing an Expos ball cap.
Yeah.
Like,
Huh.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So he's
I
a
think my
Tigers fan. So
he just likes the hat, right?
yeah, well, he's from Toledo area.
I got
so.
to see. I think when Frank Robinson was managing them.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say when he was playing.
No, but I do remember him being the manager DH for the Cleveland Indians, and they beat the Yankees on opening day, and he hit a home run back around 74-ish.
Would have been about then, yeah. All right, well,
I think my favorite opening day memory is I went when my son was really young because I remember carrying him on my shoulders, watching the parade, and then we sat up in the nosebleeds of the Red seats at Riverfront. And I don't remember who hit him in, but the Reds won bottom of the ninth, and Larkin slid into home. And I remember the stadium erupted, and it was just one of those perfect ending to the perfect day kind of things for opening day.
That's cool.
I was going to say, do you remember 10 years ago, Ramon Hernandez?
That's what I was getting ready to ask about.
2 or 3 run homer in the ninth against the Brewers, I think. No chance I thought they were going to win that game.
Yeah. I remember I was getting ready to ask who was the catcher 8-10 years ago that hit a home run on opening day to win the game, and there you go, Ramon Hernandez.
And Nick ruined the whole question, huh?
Yeah, no, he didn't ruin it. He was right there. So of course the Reds have had a lot of losses on opening day. Anybody remember Tuffy Rhodes for the Cubs?
No.
He hit like 3 home runs against the Reds on opening day, and then he was like
I
playing.
didn't even remember that name
because he's Tuffy Rhodes, Carl Tuffy Rhodes. He ended up playing in Japan, I think, in the next year or something. So, yeah. So, we'll see what happens this year. We got Castillo on the mound again, so that'll be interesting to see how he starts the season. So the Reds announced a rotation. They announced their first 5 starters. It's not going to be the rotation long term because Gray and Lorenzen are on the DL, and they've said that, from what I've seen, they've said they're going to, once they're back, they're going to start. So right now we've got Castillo, Molly, Jeff Hoffman on Sunday, Jose De Leon on Monday, and Wade Miley on Tuesday. I guess from what we've heard all off season, it sounded like Hoffman and De Leon would be the 2 to come out. Does that track with what anybody's hearing, or what do you think of that,
Yeah,
Nick?
I read that too.
Yeah. Does that track with what you're hearing? And
yeah,
seeing,
just
Nick?
based on just based on what the beat writers have said and their track record. Those are the likely 2 guys, unless there's another injury. Miley's obviously had some misfortune in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Those guys are by far the most likely to come out.
Okay. And then it'll be interesting to see then who goes down, right? Because the bullpen is Garrett, Sims, Antone. I think those guys are locks to stick around. Doolittle probably, unless Doolittle does little and he comes in and he, like sometimes you bring in a guy you think is going to help your bullpen and then he's just terrible. I guess that exists. Cam Bedrosian, the son of Steve Bedrosian, former Cy Young winner. Is it CNL? How do you pronounce that guy's name? Perez. That's what it looks like. I don't know how you say it.
I think you're right.
And then Sal Romano making a
shocked he made. I was shocked he made the roster.
Well, he might be a guy that goes down because I think Hoffman will stick and De Leon will stick, and they'll end up sending a couple of these guys down. So I don't know what Romano's options are like, but I've read about different stuff like that.
He's out.
Is he out of options? That's what I was thinking. So
he's out. Yeah, they designated him for assignment last year, and he cleared waivers because he was out of options last year.
Right. So we'll see what happens with that, and then we'll get Sonny and Michael back, and Antone had a setback in the spring, but I guess he's or he might start instead of one of these other guys, but that's what they're going to do for now.
I'll tell you, this team cannot do well this year without Sonny Gray being Sonny Gray. Right. And last year he had trouble with that back. Before he came here to Cincinnati, he had trouble with his back. Now he's out with back spasms again. That really concerns me going into the season. We're not going to get a full season out of Sonny Gray, are we?
Well,
no.
Well, no, because he ain't going to make his first start.
Well, yeah,
I guess the question is, when he gets back, are you saying when he gets back, do you think you're doubtful?
I'm doubtful he's not going to have another.
You figure there's another.
DL.
Yeah, there's okay. That's what I thought.
That's been his history, right? I mean,
yeah, some. There's other guys have been a lot worse with that stuff, but yeah, he's got some history of that.
And the trouble is, even if he's playing, he's trying to play through it. When your back hurts, you don't bend over and the ball stays up and not where you want it to be. So
yeah, it
can cost him for a few games before he goes on a DL. So I always worry about that.
Well, how many times do we hear about a guy pitcher goes on the injured list and you're like, oh yeah, his last two outings weren't very good.
Yeah.
And they tend to blame it on that and trace it back to that. So, how do we feel about the starting staff? And we know, obviously there's no Trevor Bauer, which we know why, because Castellini's aren't going to spend any kind of money like that. They just don't. And so what do we think? Kim, what do you think of this rotation? Not just this first 5 days, but long haul with a Gray and Lorenzen in there.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of 2 years ago. Maybe we're a little bit better though than 2 years ago.
I think so.
Aside from Sonny Gray's the concern that Tom just mentioned with his back. I remember last year going to the playoffs. I remember telling you guys, I wish that Sonny Gray was pitching on day 2 or game 2, and then we'd have Castillo for game 3. Castillo is, if he's our opening day start, after having Bauer, everything's sort of a letdown. I don't know if letdown's the right word, but we're down a notch or 3. Tyler Mahle has got to step up big time if we're going to have any chance. There's the growing pains or whatever he's got to be beyond that.
Okay.
But I just kind of feel like we were where we were 2 years ago. Again, though, a little bit stronger, especially with a healthy Sonny Gray. And Jose De Leon, he's to me, he's sort of the wild card.
Well, he's a former
Lorenzen too.
He's a former big prospect, and
yes,
here he is, and see what happens with him.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Out of 5 to make the playoffs, out of 5 starters, how many starters do we need that are just consistent? Can we do it with 2, or do you have to have 3 consistent starters at least
to just make the playoffs? To get into the wild card? I think you got to have at least 3 that are probably really pretty good. And how and what do the other 2 have to be? You can't be revolving door on the last 2 spots all season.
Yeah,
they have to be pretty good. Do they have to be Cy Young material? No. They certainly don't, I don't think. But what's your take on this rotation, Nick?
I feel real good about the top 3. I think Castillo and Gray are top-notch guys, and I think Mahle's a legitimate major league pitcher. And then after that, I think there's a lot of question marks. There's reasons to believe that Antone would be a good addition to the starting rotation.
I thought that
too. There's reasons to believe that Lorenzen can be successful, but that's a huge question mark. Not to mention that who knows about his health. I mean, he's the most innings he's thrown since he became a reliever was 83. And so they're really going to be stretching him. And so I don't feel good about the rotation depth. If you told me that their top 4 or 5 guys were going to stay healthy all year, then I'd feel pretty good about it. But I don't think that's going to happen. And so I'm with Tom in that they need Gray to be healthy, and that's a question mark. And they need they need those top flight guys to pitch like top flight guys.
Yeah, that's always the case for a playoff team, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You really always need the top 2 or 3 to have great years to make the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even if Lorenzen doesn't pitch well, he looks good. So that's really all that matters.
Well, if we can
And Anton's got the best beard in baseball on top
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely.
What are you going to say,
Nick,
Kim?
I'm with you. I'm kind of surprised Antone didn't get in the rotation.
Well, I think he had a little injury deal here late, and that might have been a part of it. But I think he'll start some games this year. What were you going to say, Kim?
Wade Miley, we haven't had luck with lefty free agents the past couple of years. The guy, I can't remember his name anymore, got him from the Dodgers.
Alex Wood.
Thank you. Pitched parts of 2 games and then went back to L.A. But Wade Miley, I can remember him when he was with the Brewers, and he's one of those that had decent stuff. If he can stay healthy, because last year he was not healthy. He would pitch 2 or 3 games, get rocked. It seemed like, okay, the next game he would go 5 or 6 innings, and you could see the improvement there. And then he's, rinse and repeat is what happened. So Wade Miley, too, love to see him stay healthy because I'd love to see what he can do.
Well, he's the Wiley Miley veteran with 9 years. And I was noticing when I was looking at the staff, how many people on our pitching staff do you think have more than 5 years of experience in Major League Baseball? What would you guess? Well, Wiley's one of them, right? Miley. Our staff, more than 5 years.
What's not Molly? As a major league pitcher or as a starter?
What year is this for Castillo?
Major league pitchers.
Is this year 5 for Castillo?
3.
It's only 3? No.
Yeah.
So then we don't have.
This is year 4 for him, but he's had 3 years.
So we don't have a lot then. We don't have many at all.
We only have 3 pitchers on our staff.
You talking about starters and or relievers?
No, all of our pitchers. Only 3 pitchers on our staff have been in the majors for 5 or more years.
So Miley, Doolittle.
De Leon?
Doolittle has only been 3 years, according to this CBS Sports Cincinnati Reds roster.
Lorenzen's been around since 15, so he would have to be.
Lorenzen is 5. Lorenzen 5, Sonny Gray 7, and Miley is 9. Everybody else is less than 5 years experience.
Well, Doolittle first pitched in the major leagues in 2012.
Maybe he has only had 3 full seasons going into this year.
He only threw 11. He only pitched in 11 games last year. He had 63 games in 19, 43 in 18, 30 and he pitched in 53 games in 17, 44 and 16, 61 and 14, not very many in 15, 70 and 13. So I don't know what they're saying, but he's definitely a guy with more than five years of experience.
You can't argue with CBS Sports, Jeff.
Well, I am arguing with CBS Sports. They're wrong.
Oh.
That's where I did my bracket, which was totally busted. So,
Yeah, what happened to my – all right, that's another discussion.
That's another discussion. Yeah, you didn't do one.
Yes, I did.
I didn't show up.
That's
all I can say. All right. Anyway, so, yeah, it's short on lots of experience. So, Molly, we've talked about Molly, and it feels like – so how old is he this year, 25, 26? I mean, he's right about that age, right, where – he's got a lot of experience for a guy his age.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time where if he's going to really blossom and be really good, now's the time. I think if he sort of not bumps around this year again and just can't go more than 5 innings, I don't know what the future is, but I think this is the year it seems like go for it. This is the year to really blossom for him if he's going to. What do you guys think of that?
I would agree. I also think, I mean, the 2 guys that could potentially have big breakout years as starting pitchers are Molly and Antone. I'm still pretty bullish on Antone after watching him pitch last year. Those guys could end up being nice surprises for us.
Okay. All right. Well, they've got two guys that they feel okay starting here to start the season. The two guys come off the DL. You've got Antone who could start. So, I mean, there is, I see what you're saying, Nick. You worry about the depth, but at least the depth that we have is at the major league level, and we don't have to pull it up from AAA.
Yeah.
That's where we used to be, right?
Used to be pulled up from AA.
If Jose De Leon and Jeff Hoffman are making double-digit starts this year, then I think we're in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. That could be a problem. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Bullpen. They're talking about committee closing. Do we care? Who cares? Who wants a closer? Who does, does anybody? I mean, do you want to see Garrett out there all the time? Does it matter to you what you see? We aren't seeing
I don't know if Garrett has the stuff to be the full-time closer. I mean, he's
enough variety.
I don't think his stuff is that good to be a full-time closer. His fastball isn't that great. His breaking pitch isn't like dominating. I think he's good. I'm just not sure if he's that good.
Okay. What's your sense on that, Nick? You study pitching stuff a lot.
I'm fine with the committee and the matchups. I don't think they have an absolutely dominant guy back there. I think Garrett's stuff is good. My concern is his command. Is sometimes he just loses it. He's basically got two pitches now. He's got a fastball and he's got a slider. He's been talking about this two-seamer he's going to add because he needs another pitch because everyone lays off the slider now and makes him command the fastball. And he's really struggled with walk rate the last few years. When people are swinging at his stuff, then he's dominant. But they've learned they don't have to swing at that slider to be successful.
Yeah, that's true. So the slider's good. It's the fastball command is what you've seen. Okay. So this committee then, it's Garrett. Is it Sims? Is Sims in that committee? Who else is in this committee? And Doolittle, or what have they really said very much about that? Anybody?
I've only heard
go
Sims
ahead.
and Garrett. I've only heard Sims and Garrett. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
Same here.
Yeah, mostly that's what I've heard. Have you heard anything else, Nick? You got any other insight on that?
Derek Johnson mentioned that Doolittle might play into that role, but I think they got to have a lot of question marks about that guy. I'm fear we're getting a Kevin Gregg situation, a guy that was successful in the past and maybe doesn't have the stuff that he once had. We'll see. We'll find out pretty quickly into the season. Yeah,
well, he had a great year back. If I'm looking at Baseball Reference here, he had a really great year in 18. He had a 1.60. He had 25 saves. He only threw 45 innings, but he was good that year. He was really good. Really, his numbers were good up and through 18. It's the last 2 years where he's really struggled. He finished 55 games last year. Had 29 in 19, had 29 saves. ERA was a little over 4. And then last year he was not very good at all. His ERA was almost 6. So, those are. You can look at all the other advanced metrics too, and I'm sure they weren't very good either. When your ERA is over 6 or up around 6, I doubt any of those other numbers are looking very nice either. So,
yeah,
I agree with you. He's a guy. You're like, oh, he's a veteran. Let's bring him in, see if he works out. But he could be done. So anyway, what were you gonna say?
He has regained a little bit of velocity, and so he was down 90-91 last year. He only pitched like 7 innings, but he was hurt. He was down to 90-91, and at least the beat writers have said he's gotten up to 94. So maybe there's something left in the tank, but that's a huge question mark because they signed him to be someone they could rely on.
Right. Well, they had to go out and sign somebody that had some experience after letting Iglesias go. I mean, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
So make it, at least make an
Didn't
effort.
Didn't the guy that we got in that Iglesias deal, didn't we release him?
They just cut him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You're out of here. He ain't helping us.
And
All we got out of that was
He'll
salary
resurface
cap.
and he'll end up in Japan or somewhere.
he signed back with the Angels. So
Did
they
he?
got Iglesias and then they got him back.
Huh.
Wow.
Interesting. Well, Derek Johnson figured he couldn't do anything with him, so they let him go. Okay. All right. So I think we kind of talked the pitchers pretty good. I think.
Can I add one thing, Jeff?
Yeah, you certainly may. You certainly may. You're on this show too.
The bullpen by committee. All right. First of all, I'm going to say, Nick, Jeff will tell you that the Reds ruined Amir Garrett about 2-3 years ago when it was that year of control, and he had started out, and they sent him back to the minors.
Oh, yeah.
Never the same. And
I've said that. Yeah.
In terms of the end result, what Jeff said was true. He was not the same after they sent him down. In terms of bullpen by committee, I can't recall. And if you guys respond, well, what about this team? What about that team? I'm going to tell you, normally it is the exception rather than the norm that a team who has a bullpen by committee is a strong contender. I'm very concerned about the bullpen.
Yeah, I would say in Reds history, we had the nasty boys, but those three guys had roles, defined roles. I mean, Myers did most of the closing, if not all of it.
Yep.
Now, 75, 76, and of course, Sparky was ahead of his time, and he was a master, really, of handling pitchers. Eastwick, McEnany, those guys closed games. He did, yeah. I don't know. It'd be interesting to go back and look at that, see how many guys finished games out of the bullpen.
Pedro Borbon.
Or Bone probably finished some games. He was a master at doing that, and he made it work. But part of the problem with today's game is because Garrett wants the job. Why does Garrett want the job? I think he's a competitor and he wants it, but there's more money in it.
Yeah.
And that's changed. That's changed it a little bit. So,
So remember 2 years ago when everybody was talking about the Brewers and how they were, letting their starters go so far. Remember they were letting their starters just go, 3 or 4 innings, and they were bringing in other pitchers, and they were saying maybe this is the trend for the future, is to not have, starters go as long and just have more people pitch more often. And then COVID hit, and we really haven't seen anything since. So I'll be curious to see if what you're saying is true. If you really need the designated closer, you need your few good starters, or if some of these teams are going to do pitching by committee or not.
Yeah. Well, everybody's always trying. Everybody's are they doing this because they think it'll work, or is it more out of necessity because nobody's good enough to do it all the time? And that's the unknown. It really, to me, it feels like nobody's good enough to do it. No, but we're not ready to trust some guy with the job.
But they said maybe this is something a small market team could do. Remember?
Yeah.
They didn't have the money to sign the big starters or the big
If
closers.
they got the money, they just don't want to spend it.
Does it Tampa do that as well?
I don't remember. I don't know what Tampa did last year. I can't remember.
There was a stretch where they went with a starter.
Well, they did those openers too.
Good starters. What's that?
They did those openers too, where they had a guy pitch the first inning and then bring in the starter in the second. They did some of that. So, yeah.
I think the Brewers did to thing in part because they didn't trust many of their starters.
Yeah,
they wanted to get to Hader more quickly and let him throw 2 or 3 innings.
Yeah.
The Reds aren't quite in that situation where they're not going to do that with Castillo or Gray or even Malley probably. But I am concerned about the bullpen. I do think Garrett and Sims and Antone can get outs, but after that, who knows? I mean, they've got a couple guys that have been DFA'd by a number of teams the last few years that are in their bullpen, and they're trusting those guys to get out too.
Yep. Yeah. Well, bullpens are, they're high turnover. Every year it's different. There's always 2 or 3 different guys in everybody's bullpen every year, it seems like. And, it's a coin flip on guys a lot and see what happens.
I think
there'll be many other guys pitch out of this bullpen than the ones that are starting the season tomorrow. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
This is not any great insight or anything, but the real difference between the top 5 teams in the National League and everybody else is how many question marks they have of unproven people, right? Everybody's got some question marks, right? But Reds have quite a few. We just went through them all on the pitching staff.
Yeah.
Jonathan India playing second base. Sure, he's a great prospect, but totally unproven, right? We don't know him.
No.
And how he's going to do at the big league level at all. He had a great spring training, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Is Votto going to continue to decline? The Reds I feel like the Reds have question marks all over the field. You look at a team like the Dodgers or the Braves, and they just have a few, and the Reds are like all over the field.
Well, let's segue into the offense there with you just did. Jonathan India, highly touted, high draft pick, played in the SEC, maybe started to show some stuff the year before, and they've given him this job. Now, I commented when the news came out, we were texting, and that they're going to move Suarez to shortstop and do all this kind of stuff, and Moose to third, and who's going to play second. And of course, it's India now. And my comment at the time was, we're halfway through spring training and we're moving our third baseman to shortstop. Maybe it's his more natural position, whatever. But is a true contending team in the position where they're trying to, where they have to do this?
No way.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to throw, I'm not trying to say this team can't contend. To me, that's a sign of, how committed was this team in the offseason. They showed themselves to be committed the year before. They did a lot of stuff. I don't know how not all of it was good. They've done a lot of things the last couple of years to get to where they are, and they made the playoffs last year. But they didn't go find a shortstop. They didn't go find another real closer, and they let the one they had go. So that's the thing that sort of bothered me about it. Now, Jonathan India doesn't have to be an all-star by any means. He can be an average middle infielder, and this team can still win if other guys do their jobs. And he's very capable of being an average middle infielder, I think. But like you said, we don't really know. So
Kim and I used to argue about that. Remember, Kim? And I'd say, but he's not proven. Trade him and get a proven guy. And you're like, but no, Senzel's going to.
We came to the conclusion, or at least I came to the conclusion, that Tom would never have anyone on his team that would be rookie of the year.
That's right. I wouldn't. I'd trade him in a heartbeat for somebody proven.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad they kept India. I know there was a little bit of disappointment in India's progress, if you would, but I think he's got the makings of a solid professional career for a solid professional career. I really do. He's done it at every level. Again, it reminds me of Nick Senzel, but poor Nick Senzel, if it weren't for bad luck, he'd have no luck at all, as the song goes, vertigo, COVID, just, nagging injuries. We need an injury-free year from him. You talk about that offense to make it go. We need Winker to stay healthy. And if Winker, just does what he's capable of doing, we'll be fine there. I'm not counting on Votto at all anymore. And I'm hoping Tyler Stevenson really, really develops this year.
Tim's got that man crush on Jesse Winker, right?
I do.
Oh, he does.
I do.
He likes Jesse Winker.
Were any of you surprised that Nick Senzel didn't come into second base?
No.
Because a lot of people think he should be in the infield.
Tom, you didn't want him at center field a few years back. You remember that?
I'm not surprised. The way they've talked about him as a center fielder, it didn't surprise me.
Well, he's not a natural center fielder. We know that. He's more of a natural infielder.
He didn't grow up as a center fielder. I don't know. I don't know. So, thoughts, Nick, on the infield? Votto, India, Suarez. and
Moustakis.
Moustakis. Concerns, things you like. What are you thinking?
I think that the left side of the infield is going to hit. I think Suarez lighter. He probably got rid of some of the habits he got into last year that made him struggle a little bit. Moustakis is going to hit like he normally does. But I think it's right to question the right side of the infield. I don't know what we're going to get from India. I know that I read some scouts who saw him at the alternative site last year and said he made one of the biggest jumps from the year before to last year. And so it doesn't surprise me that he came in and played well in spring. But major league pitchers have a way of finding hitters' weaknesses. And so he's going to have to adjust to the best pitching and not just spring training pitching. And then Votto, the big question is, he says now that he's going to hit for more power, and can he do it? Can he do it over a season? Because after his benching last year, he came back and hit a bunch of home runs, and he was on pace over a full season for about 30. But I don't know if a 37-year-old can do that unless they're aided by some of the things that maybe Mr. Bonds was aided with.
Yeah. So who backs up Votto on his days off? Do we know?
Farmer? I don't know.
Farmer, I guess. Here's a question, and I was listening to the Red Lake Nation podcast the other day, a recent one, and a guy on there, Chad, he says, I think it was him, why isn't Jesse Winker learning to play first base? And maybe Jesse Winker would be a disaster trying to play first base, but it's a valid question because I don't see
Not a bad idea.
I mean, he's improved in the outfield, but he's not going to ever be even nominated for a Gold Glove, much less win one. So
I've wondered the same thing, Jeff. I thought Winker, I wondered about Winker at first base. I don't know if you remember, guys, I told you 2 to 3 years ago, I could see Suarez moving to first, but that hasn't transpired.
Well, no, he's in short. Well, he's getting closer. He's going to shortstop.
What about Tyler Stevenson?
Yeah.
When he's not catching?
Yeah. Or hasn't Barnhart played first a couple times?
Barnhart has played first when Joey how Joey gets his once or twice a year ejected from a game and we're out of this. They've thrown Barnhart.
Just don't make a high throw.
Yeah, that's.
Don't make a high throw.
You've offended some group of people with that comment.
Well, it's true. He's not tall, and I'm sure he doesn't jump well. So
but Farmer and Barnhart come to mind, yes. Yeah. And Moustakis, don't forget Moustakis.
I will say, I'm glad, to give India this shot versus putting Kyle Farmer in the lineup every day, or whoever this other guy was, Kyle Holder, or that was in camp, or anybody else like that. You know what Farmer will be. He's never really gonna be a big hitter. He's just not. But India has that potential to be a pretty good hitter. So I like going that direction. And how many times have we seen the Reds dink around with a guy before they bring him up? And so they've sort of said, this is a different thing that they're doing with him. They don't usually do this I haven't seen them do this with a guy coming up in a long time to all of a sudden we're going to put you in.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, Jeff, is the Reds should be commended. They're clearly putting what they think is the best roster on the field, and they're not worried about service time.
Oh, praise the Lord for that. That thing screwing around with Senzel and Amir Garrett just made me so mad. Anyway, go ahead.
And they clearly believe in India enough to make this move from Suarez from third to short just to get him in the lineup. Mm-hmm. And so that tells you they feel pretty good about him.
Yeah, I agree. The service time thing, I'm glad they're not doing that. It's going to get eradicated in the next CBA anyway. They're going to change a lot of that, and it's just not a good way to treat employees.
All right, Jeff, just real quickly, you can only have one. Don't say, no, I refuse. I can have both. You can only have one. Service time remains or pitchers in the National League hit. We know where Tom stands.
Oh, I want the DH more than anything in
Okay.
the National League.
Okay.
I heard that's a done deal for next year. Is that what you guys heard?
I haven't heard that.
Are
I
you
missed
it.
all
Read
DH guys?
No, just me.
No.
What are you?
I'm a no DH guy.
You got.
Nick, I love you, man.
I stand alone.
You know what? We'll be not to jump back to the pitching staff, but David Bell, if Lorenzen does get healthy and starts, David Bell has said that 2 days in between his starts, he'll be available as a position player.
He's gonna have to do both.
So that will be interesting. I'm guessing if they did that, it wouldn't be early in the year that they'd let him kind of transition into that starting role. And then he said
they put him in the outfield though. Can you see him like 2 days after your start throwing in the outfield? That seems crazy.
Well, a couple plays. Put him at first. Make him a first baseman. He can be the backup for Joey. He's still a pitcher. He still can't hit like regular guys.
You don't know that.
Tell me one person
Quit it, Jeff.
who ever paid money to go to a baseball game to see the pitchers hit.
Well, the guys that are dead that went to see Babe Ruth.
No, I'm a strategy guy. I like all the double switches, and I like all the stuff that comes into it in the bench being part of the game.
I don't mind that. I just didn't like it when they pulled Winker out of the fourth inning on the double switch.
That's a little extreme. I hope Bell backs off on some of that this year.
That wasn't Bell though. That was Bell's predecessor. That was David Price.
Well, Bell goes to
Brian Price.
Bell does it a little. Brian Price. David Price pitches. I would love to have David Price.
Yeah, so would I. The Price is right.
Okay, so outfield, we got Akiyama's on the DL here, so you're gonna have Winker, Senzel, and Castellanos in the outfield tomorrow, opening day. Akiyama, it's a 4-man group. It would be a 3-man group.
Has options.
It would be a 3-man group if we had to
right?
DH, but it's a 4-man group. And Aquino, we don't know if Aquino is going to make the team. I mean, there's 4 guys in limbo from what the Inquirer reported today. Blandino, Max Schrock, Mark Payton, and Aristides Aquino are the 4 guys in limbo. Don't know which ones they're going to keep, but depending on whether Votto is active for tomorrow's game. So it'll be either
Tyler
2 or 3 of those.
McQueen?
Tyler
McQueen guy?
Tyler Naquin, I think is how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did he make the team?
Yes, he did.
Hmm.
So he's a 5th outfielder. He's played for the Indians for about 5 years or so. I think his rookie year was his best year. I mean, he's a backup outfielder.
Yeah.
Probably a defensive replacement type of guy. He'll probably come in for Winker in about the 4th inning every night. That's what I figure. Kim's not laughing. Did he hear that comment?
Say it again.
I said Naquin. He'll probably come in he's probably a defensive replacement. He'll probably replace Winker in about the 4th or 5th inning every night.
After 2 at bats.
For 2 at bats. Now ask him to bunt. Yeah.
Now, let's see, Nicholas, at least Jeff and Tom know that Lisa, my wife, usually is in here with me, and she's in the office here with me now. She just showed me the phone, the Fox News app, Ohio Fox News app, that says flurries of the first pitch, Reds fans to experience possible record-breaking temperatures on opening day.
Yeah. It's going to be cold.
So I
have
don't know what
flurries.
that means in terms of bullpen, this, that, whatever else. But remember in the old days, you could not stand on the rubber and put your hand to your mouth. Remember that?
Yeah, I don't know.
They lightened off on that now.
Did they?
It used to cost you it would result in a called ball.
Oh, well, that's before our time. That's back in the old days.
You know everything, Gilbert. Those books behind you are all sports books.
Well, some of them. Now, most of them are up on this shelf over here.
Okay.
So anyway, all right. Now, really, the most important thing about this season is whether or not we're going to get to watch them play, because of Sinclair Broadcasting and all the mess they're creating and not getting deals with TV providers. So none of us at this point have a TV provider that carries Bally Sports Ohio on their system. So, if they're on MLB and not blacked out, we can watch them. When they're on Fox National, we can watch them. Other than that, we're not.
Either one of those are going to happen very much.
Not very much. Not very much. So, I figure we'll have a great season and we won't really get to watch much of it. That's probably what
I don't know about you guys.
Probably a wire-to-wire season and we won't get to watch much of it.
I get into a routine of every night kind of watching the Reds as I go to bed,
just have it on
during the summer and getting to know the announcers and everything. I really enjoy that. And man, to not do that this summer is going to be weird.
It is. So because I since I don't have a radio anymore in my house, I mean, that's just kind of the way things are. I purchased the yearly subscription, for $19.99 plus tax for the MLB audio on the MLB app. So on the MLB app on your phone, you can pay $19.99 and then you can listen to every major league game, not just the Reds, but you can listen to every major league game. Not that you would want to, but that's how it works. So, it's the Reds broadcast.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. Cause see, so if you have like any of the other radio apps like TuneIn or iHeart, you can turn on WLW on there, but they black out the game. You can't hear it because MLB controls it all through this app and you got to pay $19.99. So I'll be going around with my AirPods in all summer long. I'll probably be deaf by the end of the season, but that's what I'm
maybe I'll do that too. I'll join you.
That's a good way to do it. That's what I'm going to do until they get them back on television. Now there has been talk of eventually some more streaming options with some Major League Baseball stuff that, like it would be nice that if there was other options that you could pay 20, 30, even $100 to watch your team all season, even if you don't have that cable provider. Hopefully they'll do something. I've heard there's rumors. I read a couple of little things about it. Nothing very specific, just that people are talking about it, working on it, and maybe sometime this spring, something like that will be available. So anyway, that's going to be hard not to watch. I mean, I'll get more stuff done. My yard will probably look better. I might lose a few more pounds, just go over and ride the elliptical every night and listen to the ball game or something. But I'm going to miss getting to do that. Tom's expressed that. So you guys the same way?
Yeah, I've got the radio thing too. I've had that for several years and I'll do that. But I mean, if there's any TV executives or salesmen out there who are looking to sell a package, I'm available.
Yeah.
At some point, I would like to watch some games. And so it really seems like Major League Baseball just keeps making it harder and harder for people to access the game.
For fans. I know.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
It really is. It really is. I mean, don't you want fans? Hasn't that been a problem?
They should be doing the opposite. They should be making it easier and easier, right? But it's
but
really not Major League Baseball, is it? Isn't it really Bally's? It's the
trying to monetize it. It's the company that owns all those RSNs, those regional sports networks.
Right.
They're the ones holding it up. And Major League Baseball has some say, I guess, but they've got.
I bet they don't. But they just sold it to Bally's.
Yeah, they need
to.
They need to step in and exert a lot of pressure to make things happen so more people can watch.
Yeah.
Fewer people will go. If you don't get to watch them and you lose some interest, you're less likely to go. The old thing of, well, if you put them on TV all the time, people won't come to the park. No, it builds interest and people will still go.
Opposite.
It's a total opposite. It's always been the opposite. It's just it's all about money. It's all about money, of course, which it is. But I don't mind things being
ever
about money.
since Wrigley started having night games, that ruined everything.
I got a whole bunch of kids, and they're not going to go to the ballpark unless they're going to see a favorite player, and they need to see those guys on TV.
Exactly.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah. All right. So let's do this. Some of these things were said, and we'll wrap up with this idea here. We'll go around. Kim, it's a good season if what? Or maybe you want to pass. Anybody want to chime in?
I got
on that?
this.
It's a good season
So
if go.
Here's what's going to happen. Votto's going to hit 35 home runs. India's going to be rookie of the year. Suarez is going to be Suarez. Moose and Castellanos are going to have their normal great years. They're going to hit 30 home runs each. The Reds are making the playoffs. Oh, by the way, in pitching, Antone comes on, has a great year. Molly has a great year. Sonny Gray stays healthy. Castillo goes back to how good he was a couple of years ago. Reds have the best year they've had since 90. No, not 90. I'm not saying they're going to the World Series, but what was the year they went to they played the Giants in the playoffs?
2012.
2012.
12, yeah.
All right.
Best year since 2012.
You just took the whole list, man. I was looking for one or two things. Anybody got anything to add? I mean, he just what's something else that you think the Reds need to have happen for this season to be good? And we've said a bunch of things over the time, but is there something that sticks out that this, has got to work? I'll say the bullpen's got to be reliable. Bad bullpens ruin seasons. I think I've seen bad bullpens ruin seasons for teams. So I think the bullpen has to be reliable.
I'll do a simple one that maybe it's underrated. I won't go into the bullpen needs to be this. Remember last year, the offense was historically bad.
Yeah.
They have major league talent. Okay. They need to stay healthy. Stay healthy. It's just too often, again, Senzel, Votto, Winker, even last year with the pandemic forcing things back. Remember, Suarez jumped in the pool and hurt his shoulder. And that's when Helmick says, why can't we have nice things? We guys to stay healthy.
All right. Nick, you got something?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Kim on that. If their top 7 or 8 pitchers on a 13-man staff stay healthy, then I think it'll be a good year. And I think they need something from the young guys on offense. They need Senzel, India, and Stevenson. They need 1 or 2 of those guys to have really good years. And I think if those things happen, then they'll contend.
Okay. All right. So not to be a downer, but what is it just the opposite of those things that makes it a bad season? Is there anything else that haven't been mentioned that if this happens, we're in big trouble? I think I'll throw one in there. We figure guys like a guy like Castellanos and Moustakas and people like that who have had proven themselves are going to be good in over a whole season. But I think if one of those guys is off, I think middle of the lineup guys, if one of those guys is off, that it isn't very good. I think that's really crucial. I think that could undo a lot of other stuff being good. I mean, it's just one bat, but sometimes one bat makes a big difference.
I worry about the pitching staff going back to how it was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Sonny's hurt, and Luis doesn't pitch like he can, and
okay,
I worry about that.
All right.
I worry a little bit about the defense. I'm not sure how Suarez is going to be. We've already talked about Winker's lack of speed and talent out there. They might pitch pretty well, and their defense might let them down.
Good. In some key situations. I don't disagree with that. I think a couple things allow them to do some of the things they're doing on defense, and one is the way the shift is used these days. Yeah. I think that helps. I think that helps you hide defensive deficiencies sometimes, and strikeouts are up. So there's fewer balls in play. And if this team strikes out, if these pitchers are good and strike a lot of people out, that'll minimize some of that. But you're right. I mean, it only takes, over a long season, it's 162 games, but a couple of the things we talked about, defense and bullpen, if the bullpen costs you 8 or 9 games and the defense costs you 4 or 5 games, that's a lot to overcome. You've got to win. You got to be playing otherwise like you're good enough to win 100 games to even be in the hunt. So those two things could hurt. So predictions.
Their corner out.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say their corner outfielders are not very good outfielders, Castellanos or Winker. And when Senzel's out of the lineup, he's got some speed to cover up some mistakes, but he's had such a problem staying healthy, you can't count on that.
Right. Okay. All right. Bold prediction. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to go to the World Series. They're going to fall flat on their face. What's the big prediction? What can this team accomplish? Who wants to go first? Nobody. Crickets.
I mean, my heart says 87, 88 wins, but if you put me to it, I'm going to say 79 wins.
Okay. So
I worry about the depth of the pitching staff.
Okay. All right. Kim, what do you think?
Well, the easy prediction is they'll win more games this year than they did last year. They'll double their output. Okay.
Yeah.
Apples to apples, so to speak. I'm going to say, based on the things that we're talking about, I thought Nick brought up 2 very good points. The defense, okay, and the depth. I'm going to say, based on what we've seen where they're at now, 75 to 78 wins. I'm hoping for 85, but I'm saying 75 to 78.
Okay. All right, Tom. I'm going last.
So,
I have the power. I'm going last.
How do you get to do that? So my heart wants all those things to happen that I mentioned earlier, every one of them. And we see 85, 88 wins. But if I had to bet my paycheck, I wouldn't do that. There's just too many question marks all over the field. And I'm, similar to what these guys are saying, that 75 win, 74. Right. I mean, it could get ugly this year, I'm afraid, if things compound. But
if it gets ugly, is David Bell gone?
I don't see how.
Do they blame him?
I'll tell you, I said a few years ago, how do you not fire the hitting coach when you're hitting so bad? I mean, if, for example, if they don't hit this year, you got to make some changes. I don't know if it's David Bell, but he's got to make some changes around him.
Okay.
I don't know how you lose Bauer and you lose Iglesias and you lose Archie Bradley and you expect David Bell to make up that talent. And so,
yeah, good point.
I mean, on paper, they're not as good as they were last year, though. I would expect their offense to be better because they had a lot of guys struggle in that short season that you don't expect to struggle this year.
Let's hear it, Master.
Here's what I'm going to say. Last year, for about 40 games, they played about as bad as you can play. All right. They found a way to get over 500 and get in the playoffs. And then revert back to the team that played those first 40 games. I haven't forgotten that. But so, yes, there are subtractions from the pitching staff. I think there are additions to the offense, and I think the defense is about the same, pretty much a wash on defense. So
wait. What's the additions to the offense?
Well, the additions. Well, I think there will be addition to the offense in terms of I think you'll see guys over a full season actually perform like they're capable of, and I think that's what I think. And I think India has a decent chance to be an average middle infielder. And if he's an average middle infielder, offensively overall, that's better than we've had at shortstop in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
I would agree.
He's got to be better than Freddie Galvis.
Yeah, and Iglesias.
Iglesias was pretty good.
He had a couple good numbers, but if you look deep into numbers, they weren't that tremendous. But we won't start talking about WOBA.
I knew it was coming. I knew it came.
Anyway, well, I mean, he keeps bouncing around from team to team. Anyway, so what I'm saying is I think the offense will be better. The pitching might be worse, but I'm not expecting it to be precipitous drop off by any means. I think it'll still be pretty good. Precipitous. You like that word? Precipitous. And I think the defense will be about the same.
Well, you say the hitting.
So I don't think
any worse than last year.
It can't be worse. It's going to be better. It's going to be a lot better. And
you just killed us by saying that. You totally jinxed the whole thing.
And I don't think the rest of the division is very good either. So
true.
The Cardinals tend to find a way to win games, which is maddening. But
it's annoying.
So I think I'm saying 85. I think they win 85 games.
I love your optimism.
My glass is more than half full. So I just, that's what I think. I think that they're going to be pretty good.
I hope you're right, Jeff.
Well,
we all do.
I've been right before and I've been wrong before. And that's about all that's about all the assurance I can offer you.
What a wise statement
that's as much assurance as I can offer you on my prediction. I've been wrong sometimes. I've been right sometimes.
Wait, go eat a Swiss roll with mustard.
Oh, I'm going to try. I need to try that. So there's a video floating around on Twitter of a guy putting mustard on a Little Debbie cake, Swiss cake roll, and stuff it in his mouth and saying it tastes good. So I don't know. Might have to try it. Have you ever had peanut butter on a hamburger? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad's
burger at Mom and Dad's, it's called.
Do they have one there?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Yeah.
A Gramps burger.
Gramps burger has peanut butter. I hadn't noticed that on there. I've had one somewhere. Have you ever had that, Nick? Peanut butter on a hamburger?
You guys have the strangest food habit.
Mustard on Little Debbie's.
Yeah, well, that I haven't tried. That's just something I saw. But I got some wings with some dry rub on it tonight that about put me through the roof. Man, that stuff was spicy. Kim would have got about one bite and he'd have been no thanks. He is not a spicy food guy. So anyway, all right. So that's our predictions. The season's ready to start. Any other wisdom, insights into wisdom that you've been dying to share on this show tonight that you haven't had the chance to share? Oh,
how do we top? Sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. I mean, you can't top that wisdom.
I don't know. I mean,
it's back to being a long season. We must pace ourselves.
Yes. 162 games. I mean, I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't get worried if they're 3-5 or something after 8 games. It doesn't matter. Last year we thought it mattered huge, and they still came back and got into the playoffs.
What's the seating capacity? What's the attendance capacity for the games?
I'm not sure. They're putting
people way down.
30%. It's about 12,000.
12,000 a game. All right.
They're at 30% capacity.
Okay, and I think they're going to group people in like 6-person pods and stuff. They're going to keep there won't be anybody there won't be anybody behind you spilling beer on you or anything like that, so that's kind of nice.
So I think this is an event we could do this year is 3-0 Reds fans night at the ballpark. We can encourage all of our listeners and we all go on a certain night. We could like set up a table and sign autographs.
Oh yeah
right by the condominium.
They'll definitely sell out those 12,000 tickets that night.
Years ago, when Jeff let me have ownership or whatever in the 3-0 Reds fans Twitter account, I was texting with Chris Welsh, and he said if we buy him a beer, he will come on the show.
Let's do it.
We should try it. Well, maybe this is the summer to try it. There won't
Probably
be as many
need
people.
a non-Reds, non-Cedarville University employee to actually buy the beer.
I will do that. I got it.
Yes. Well,
What do you guys think about Barry Larkin in the TV booth?
oh, that'll be
I love it.
interesting. I don't know. I'm not
Love
going to get to see it.
We'll never get to see it though. Yeah.
Yeah. So unless he ever subs in on the radio. So TV booth is going to be, who's the play-by-play guy? What's his name?
Sadik, John Sadik.
John Sadik. Yeah. Barry Larkin. Is he going to?
Jim Day's in the stands,
Are
right?
there going to be 3 guys in the booth, TV booth now? Is he going to be
I
in there
think
with Welsh?
At least some nights there are going to be 3 people in the booth.
Okay.
That seems a little extreme to me, but okay.
Is the cowboy going to be on the radio still?
Cowboy and Tommy Thrall.
Tommy Thrall. Well, let's get used to the cowboy and Tommy Thrall. We'll talk about Grater's ice cream and 2 strikes and 2 balls on the hitter.
So, Jeff, is the MLB radio thing, will it have the radio guys or the TV guys?
I don't have the radio. I think, well, Nick's used it. It does the radio guys, right?
Yep, it's a radio guys, and you can get
Okay.
either you can get the home or the away team's feed if you want to switch it up.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you get tired of the cowboy, you can switch to the other team. But I like
the Cowboy. I know you don't like him.
No, I like
I
the
thought you
cowboy.
didn't like him.
No, I like
Okay,
the
good.
cowboy. I didn't like Brenneman. I'm not.
Oh,
I was never a big Tom Brenneman fan, but anyway, I liked Marty. Figures the year I got to
You-
go to the radio. It's Marty's retired.
you didn't like Tom because you said he talked too much about other things and not the game.
Yeah, which is pretty rampant in sports broadcasting anymore. I could go on a whole nother hour about that topic. So, but I won't. Anyway, I got an opinion now and then, not too much, just now and then. So
You and Marty.
yeah. I don't think Marty agreed with me on the DH though, but maybe he will someday. Maybe when he sits and watches the game as a fan, now that he's doing that, maybe he'll agree. But anyway, I will not beat that dead horse any longer. We will move on. Right, Kim? You done
Right.
talking about the DH, Kim?
Well,
right.
I do think it's coming next year. I
Yeah,
really-
well, I'm glad, and I will create a PowerPoint for you guys of the 25 reasons why it's a good idea, and then you can refute all of them if you must. You can try. So I'm dogmatic, if you haven't noticed. So
And then next year, Jeff's gonna politic to just have the center on the basketball floor stay on the offensive side the whole time. That's what he'll.
no, it's not the same thing. That's apples and oranges. So anyway, basketballs and baseballs, they're not the same. So, all right, well, let's get out of here. Let's finish this thing off. So, thanks, Nick, for joining us tonight, and just
Thanks,
getting us off to this. Well, I hope it's a good start. We'll see. I think the Reds will win the opening day. That's my other prediction. They're going to win opening day, and when we return to do this again, whenever I can get all you guys on the same Zoom call again, I have no doubt that we will be discussing the first place Reds. It's my other prediction. For now, really all we can say is play ball. And as we always say, with the big finish, go Reds.
Go Reds.